let's get started. So, what is your role on the team?
I am the producer of the game, so my job entailed uh, game design documents, helping build the team, and the general all-round management of the team, development pipelines, that sort of stuff. So,
Now, what age did you start playing games at?
um, I think I was a 4 or 5. This is my first memories on the original Nintendo.
Ah, nice. What was the first game you actually remember playing?
Duck Hunter, I think. Duck Hunter and Mario.
Nice, nice, nice.
Those are I think those are the only 2 games that I ever really played on the NES. So yeah.
Now, how did you start, or how did you get started with developing games?
Um, well, originally I was due to go to university, to Staffordshire University in England, about 12 years ago, but I ended up taking a different career path. It's kind of something I'd always regretted. So about 3 or 4, probably about 4 or 5 now, actually years ago, I decided to pick up UDK and start playing within the engine myself. Got onto the forums, got some experience with some other teams with some games that didn't make it, but the experience was invaluable. And then I met up with the studio owner at Pulse 10, Barish, and we came up with the idea for Solarix.
Nice. Now, if you weren't a game developer, what would you be?
Well, at the moment, I'm kind of doing 2 jobs. For my day job, anyway, I do IT for the National Health Service in England.
Ah,
Uh,
okay.
so I kind of, and then of an evening, I come home and do this. So
Nice.
I kind of already split myself between 2 roles anyway. So
Now, why do you make games? Do you do it for like the art form of it? Is it like a personal expression type thing? Is it a way to, you know, voice certain views or opinions on certain situations?
I think a mixture of all of those. A lot of it comes down to the dedicating, the passion for games. Basically, is something that's always been there with me. I've always seen it as an underappreciated art form, especially from people like I love my parents, but people like my parents who have never really understood the what a game can actually do and what the power of a game actually holds over people. So they've always just seen it as entertainment and not the art form that it can be. Like a painting or something like that, or playing an instrument or something. So.
Nice. Now, how did the inspiration for this particular game's concept come about?
Um, well, we all grew up playing games in the late 90s and early 2000s at the studio, and so we were influenced heavily by classic Thief games, System Shock 2, Half Life, games of that era and of that period. So that's where the idea of the game was born, because we've noticed recently during the last 5 years has been like well, probably in the last 10 years, it's just been a massive surge in the popularity of like multiplayer. And we're all single player focused gamers that have made the game, really, in essence. Like, we enjoy good narrative and good stories, and that's just something that we wanted to tell with Solarix. So
Nice. What inspires you outside of gaming? Do you like find yourself being inspired by books or certain scenes in nature that you just happen to catch and you look at it and you're like, wow, that's awesome. I can do something with that type thing. People watching, what do you draw from outside?
um, it's the books is definitely, like, reading something that I enjoy. Just switching up, because I work in IT for my day job, and then I come home and I do this. So sometimes it's just nice to just sit in the corner with the lamp on and read. So I do enjoy reading and just getting away from it, getting away from everything. And like you said, but as well with people watching, I work for a mental health trust, so I see a lot of different things and a lot of different situations that occur every day. Like so, I take a bit of inspiration from things like that, from stuff that you can see happening there as well. So it's probably evident with some of the characters in Solarix. So
That's awesome. Very interesting too. How would you say the game's being received so far?
I'd say probably 60-40 in the positive.
Okay.
But we knew that because it's such a niche game. There's not been a pure stealth experience in a while. I don't know anybody that developed the latest Thief game, but there's probably a reason why it didn't do as well as what it should have done. And I just think stealth games aren't at the forefront anymore. People want more than just the sneak and creep factor. They want to be shit in the pants, terrified like you are in Alien Isolation and Outlast, or you want or you want the RPG elements that like Dishonored or Deus Ex can give you. And with our game, we're not giving you that. We're going back to the old way of Thief used to do things. So I just think I think some people haven't quite understood the message that we try to convey with the game. And some people just haven't been into it, which is absolutely fine. It's not for everybody. So we knew we were making a niche game when we were making it. So there was never at any point did we think we're going to scrap that mechanic for accessibility to make the game more accessible for people who don't enjoy this genre. You either enjoy the sneaking and the creeping and the watching the way the AI paths go and watching and learning the AI and where they're going to walk to and what they're going to do in the quirks and the twitches in the AI, because it's not a perfect system. We're an indie development team that's worked on zero budget for 4 years. It was never going to be perfect. So if you're into those types of games, then Solarix is probably definitely for you. So if not, then it's probably worth staying away because you're only going to get frustrated with it. So
I mean, like you're citing Thief. Thief was an awesome game. I've noticed that games come in waves. It'll come full circle. Like you'll have a certain type that's popular, then all of a sudden another type will become popular, and then it cycles through. We'll go back to the stealth games being popular again, and then another game will come up that's popular again that you haven't seen in a while, like style type games. So I'm sure, besides it being an awesome game, and I mean, I think the stealth thing's awesome, and having to be aware of everything, it's good. More people should try them if they haven't, because they really are a very immersive type of environment, and it gets you more into the game. At least for me, it does. And you'll get some jump scares here and there, but you don't necessarily have to be terrified. There's that nice level of suspense where you're like, oh my god.
We've never tried to terrify people with Solarix because it's never been about jump scares and creating that type of atmosphere. It's always been about an unsettling atmosphere and creating the suspense within the gameplay, because you are so underpowered and the AI is so powerful, and they do have assault rifles and you've only got a pistol. It's about creating that suspense for us, and those are all design decisions, and some people have failed to understand the design decisions probably because there's not a lot else out there like it at the moment, I'd like to think. So
that or something that hasn't come across new in a while. So it's kind of it's more like it's breathing new air into the genre itself.
We'd like to think so, but one thing we've learned is there's always somebody out there that knows more than us. So somebody will probably come back and list a reel of games that have done this before. So
now, how long have you guys been working on the game?
4 years.
Okay. And how many people are involved in making the game?
At its maximum, including voice actors, there was 12 at its maximum, all working for royalty and nobody picking up a wage. So we went to Kickstarter to get some funding. We failed with that.
Wow.
We had a choice to make there and then. Did we carry on? But we were 3 years down the road then, and we thought, just no way we can give up 3 years work. We'll finish it. It's
Yeah.
just going to take longer, and it's not going to be as polished as what we wanted it to be, simply because the money that we were asking for was going to go towards animations and paying our voice actors early and things like that. So, but luckily we managed to keep hold of the full voice acting crew, and they worked with us. So
That's awesome. Now, do you have any examples of what's gone right so far during development?
oh man, God, it's always the negatives that stick out in your head, and not really what goes right.
Yeah, these are always loaded questions.
Yeah. What went right?
Like, did
Just
you
go on.
add something in, like a certain animation or certain like couple lines of programming that would do something and it just worked perfectly and you're like, yes, type thing?
Probably more to do with the level balancing, to be honest, because we spent such a long time trying to get the balance just right, because we wanted to give limited ammunition in the game because it's not a shooter. During our testing phases, we had people playing it and they were playing it as a shooter, and we're like, damn it, why aren't people understanding that it's a stealth game? And
Right.
simply because we're giving them too much ammunition. So when we started decreasing, and it took weeks and weeks and months of play testing to get those levels, those ammunition levels, just right. And some people are now saying, no, it's just not enough. But we're trying to promote stealth gameplay. That's what the game is. It is core. It is a stealth game. You can ghost. Pardon me. You can ghost all the way through the game without firing a single round. Or if you want to, we do give people weapons for that combative play style, but it's not a combative like in a Call of Duty combative game style.
Right.
It's a different type of combat system. But yeah.
Now, what examples do you have on things that have gone wrong?
Oh wow, where's the list?
It's like, hold on, let me go down the list. One, two.
Well, for a start was the Kickstarter. That was a massive kick in the gut for everybody. Yeah. I'll be honest, I'm just joking about the list. That's probably the only real thing that has truly gone wrong. We had some bugs on launch. We hold our hands up. I don't know if you've checked out our community forum on Steam, but we got panned a little bit on our launch date for a few bugs. But in the first 2 weeks the game's been out, so we've been coming home from work and then working on the game and trying to get patches out. And we had a couple of bugs at launch, and it really hindered us and really demoralised us. But we thought, no, we've just got to get a patch out as quickly as we can and make it as feature complete and foolproof as possible to get the game back to where it should be. And then we released another patch last week as well, which fixed another load of fixes. And at the moment we're working on another third patch as well, which will hopefully add some more features like controller support, because we've only got partial controller support at the moment. But
Gotcha.
hopefully have a full controller support, and we're working towards some more localization and Steam achievements and all the things that people on Steam seem to love. So,
Gotcha. Now, what are some of the other previous games that you've worked on?
none that have made it out. So yeah, I've gone working with some friends, working on some other green light games. That have, one's been greenlit, one hasn't. And when we finished Solarix a couple of weeks before I actually started my own studio, so
Oh, nice.
so yeah.
Now, where do you think the game industry will be in 5 to 10 years?
Wow.
I've gotten some interesting answers to this question by quite a few different developers.
Yeah.
So I always like hearing what you guys have to say, because there's a lot of different views on where people think that it's going to go.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard a lot of people saying they think consoles will be done, but I just don't see it because PC is too much of an open platform for developers, especially indies. Our game, we know, has been torrented in the five figures. So we're talking tens of thousands.
Wow.
So it's just too open a platform for. It's too risky for publishers. So I can't see publishers ever allowing the big publishers ever allowing Microsoft and PlayStation to not have consoles. Just purely for the DRM. And as much as people hate that, when you see your game being torrented tens of thousands of times and you've not, and it's heartbreaking knowing that your content's out there and people are doing that with it. So I can't see those going away. I can't see Steam going anywhere. So I think honestly it'll stay as it is. Maybe a greater influence on mobile. The new Nvidia Android box looks interesting. Whether that can compete with the consoles, with the current consoles, I don't know, because I don't know if Android will ever have the power of as an operating system to ever compete. But it's interesting for sure. I think virtual reality will be a big thing if it already isn't. So
that's a lot of people have said VR.
Yeah,
a lot of people have said VR.
Yeah, I think VR with Kinect, I think would be a really big step. I think there's a lot that you can do there, and a lot that's not been looked into with that. Kinect gets a lot of shit, but if you can make it work, then it's a fantastic tool.
It is pretty cool. Its sensors are pretty cool, and you're right. Hooking up VR to the Kinect would be pretty cool, or finding a way to attach sensors or something like that to, feel the movement in your hands, the legs, things like that, instead of, that would be kind of a cool option too, I think. But, I mean, obviously we need more technology because there's still a lot of people that are getting motion sick from it.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a DK2 and I get motion sickness with that. So, because we're trying to get it to work with Solarix, obviously. So, it's not quite there yet at the moment. I don't think the refresh rates are quite there yet, or the resolutions. So,
yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I'm interested to see how it goes along, because I will get motion problems if the refresh rate is too not good. So that's why I've kind of been steering clear of it, because it's like, I don't want to be too sick, be all dizzy and whacked out.
It's good playing Alien Isolation on it, though. I must admit, I did crap my pants a few times, especially when I first played it. So,
I didn't play it on VR. I played it on computer or PC. Oh God, I could only imagine that on VR.
It's excellent. Honestly, it's good.
Now, what games did you enjoy playing in 2014?
Well, last year, where's my Steam library? Like I said before, I enjoyed Alien Isolation, especially after Aliens Colonial Marines. Christ, after the fiasco that was that. I enjoyed Shadow of Mordor as well. I have a real broad spectrum of types of games that I play. I don't just enjoy one particular type. So yeah, those two are the two that stick out to me. Generally, every year I'll go back and I'll play BioShock and Amnesia and
they're good games.
Some of the classics like that. I enjoy my first-person story-driven games. So generally, those are the types of games that I'll go back and play. I enjoyed Outlast as well last year as well. So that was a good game.
Did you play Whistleblower?
I haven't played the DLC yet. No.
Oh, you'll crap your pants on that one. That one's crazy. For like 15 minutes, I had my hand over my mouth watching one of the cutscenes. I was like, the whole time. It was like, it was crazy. You definitely need to go back and try that. It's not long, but no. It definitely adds on to the original Outlast, which is an awesome suspenseful game too.
Yeah. I'll check that out then. I did pick it up in a sale, so I'll download that on your recommendation.
What would you say is your favorite game of all time throughout your whole gaming
Mass
life?
Effect.
Mass Effect?
Yeah,
Nice.
Definitely. It's had the the biggest influence on me as a developer, as a writer, as a producer. It's just perfection to me for the RPG. I know some people will disagree, but back in the day, there was nobody that could come near BioWare really when they had their writing crew that was there originally on board. So,
what would you say your favorite moment that you've ever had in a game? Did you had something that like really just hit you emotionally or really made an impact on a certain thought process going forward in your life?
probably the ending of The Last of Us. And the ending of BioShock Infinite. I actually had to lie down after the ending of BioShock Infinite for half an hour, just piecing it all together in my head.
Really?
Yeah, it's like I was living with my ex-partner at the time, and she bought it for me for my birthday, and I'd finished the game, and I just came downstairs and wandered around the living room for 5 minutes, looking lost, and then went back upstairs. Like, when your mind just gets completely mind fucked, and I went upstairs and I just had to lie down. I was like, I just need to lie here for 15-20 minutes and just try and collect everything that's just gone on. It really resonated that much with me, and the ending of The Last of Us is just genius in my opinion. It's just go play it if you haven't already. Honestly, it's
on my list to play. That's one of the ones I haven't played. And actually, BioShock Infinite I haven't played. The other two BioShocks I did, which I thought they were awesome. And I've been wanting to play Infinite. I have not played it yet. So I'll be looking forward to that.
Yeah. It's I won't spoil anything, but yeah, just play it. Then come back to me.
Alrighty. Now, do you have a next title you'll be working on, or are you guys solely focused on Solarix right now and doing the PR and everything like that? And once that starts to get its like real momentum and everything like that, then, a little bit down the road, you'll maybe start brainstorming or work out
probably
something
for the next
else.
Well, probably for the next 3 months at Pulse 10's games, we'll probably continue to work on Solarix, take on board the community feedback through the Steam forum, listen to what people are saying, and take that all on board and add in features that people want. There's a Mac version in the works. We actually finished our first bake of that today, which will be going out into testing early next week. We'd love to do a Linux version. There's some limitations with the engine that we're using at the moment because UDK doesn't support Linux. We're looking at the potential of a mobile port, retail copies, just trying to maximize what we can do with the assets that we've got for the game. As I said before, we're looking at virtual reality. We're having some problems with that at the moment. We may have to update the code base for the game to do that, but every time you update the version of UDK that you're using, when you go to the latest version, it just breaks everything. So you just it's another good 2 months' work to put everything back together again, just for the sake of updating to a code base to allow for virtual reality. So it's whether the work's worth the outcome that we'll get from that. So,
gotcha. Now, I know I was going to ask on Yura's behalf because Yura is our Linux gamer, and since you did answer if you guys are working on Linux, so that I'm sure he's happy to hear.
Yeah, it's something we're looking into, but with the limitations with the engine, it's looking unlikely. But we will try.
Now, as far as, are you going to put it on the consoles? Are you going to put it on like Xbox and PlayStation and things like that, or are you going to hold off on that, or still looking into it?
I can't see it coming to consoles, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
I'm just putting that out there now. I can't see it happening.
Now,
I'd love it too, but I can't see it happening. Iman, our lead programmer's in Iran. Getting a development kit out there would be a nightmare. Barish is in Turkey. So those two guys really need to be together to work. There's visa and passport issues and all sorts. So
understandable.
It's just a no-go for us at the moment.
That's totally understandable. I do have some viewer questions. Spectrum 13 wants to know, is the game moddable or will it be moddable?
We have the honest answer is we have some issues around some assets that wouldn't be licensed for consumer use. We're looking into that because we've all come from a modding background. We'd love it. We'd love to be able to make the game moddable through Steam Workshop, but we need to figure out those licensing issues at the moment. For the time being, it's a no. For the time being.
Okay. Yura wants to know, will you switch from UDK to something else on the next game, such as UE4?
Yes, UE4 will. The next game will be in already. We've already talked about it. We were already discussing the process of maybe porting Solarix to UE4 12 months ago, but because it's two different programming languages, we'd have to reprogram all the AI again from scratch and the UI, and just it would have just took too much time. And we needed to get the game out. So because Barish's studio owner's wife had become pregnant, and we needed to get some money in for him, really, at the end of the day. So, to get some investment back for him. So
now, Danger High Voltage, did a personal experience in the supernatural affect your game development?
In the
supernatural, or did something personal affect your game development, or has something personal affected it?
I'm struggling to understand what he means by that, to be honest. If I had some, does he mean have I seen a ghost or something like that?
Well, do you have? Let me see. How could I word it a little bit differently? Have you had a personal experience that is played out in this particular game, like something that actually happened to you, or something that's happened to one of the other developers and things like that, that is actually takes place in the game that the player themselves experiences?
No, because Walter's got amnesia, so at least I'd hope none of us have.
That wouldn't be good.
Yeah. No, nothing like that.
Okay. Shern Scott says, "Ask Mark about his voice acting." Wink face.
Oh, so God damn it, Sean! I knew we'd ask that. I did the zombies in the game, so yeah.
Ah, nice.
Some of them, not all of them. So it's just bored one day with my iPhone. Had a bit of spare time, just plugged in my headset because it only needed to be rough recordings anyway, and just drank some milk and started gargling down a microphone and sent them off. And Barish put them through a sound mixing board and sent them back and goes, "Hey, these don't sound too bad. I'm going to use these." I was like, "Okay, no problems, do it."
Oh boy. Mr. Hawk wants to know, what age did you start making games?
I was 25. I was 25. Yeah. Like I said before, I was due to go to uni and go and do it. It's one of my biggest regrets that I didn't, and got focused on my career, working in IT, and then it kind of pulled me back in. I was playing a lot of games at the time, and I was like, I want to try this. I've got this burning itch to get into development, and so I just did it. So,
and Mr. Hawk also wants to know, did you start on small games originally, or did you go straight into working on larger style games or larger spectrum games?
Small games have got their fan base and their developer base, and I respect that, but I enjoy working on something that I can get my teeth into, like something I can. Problem is, with a lot of games like that, like the bigger games like Solarix, with team bases of people that you're relying on their content, and you're relying on other people. And so one thing that I've learned is other developers that have day jobs, have wives, kids, it's other indie developers, and if you're not doing this as your full-time job, trying to get work out of people can be difficult. So if you can get skills by yourself, I would urge people to do that, to learn as many different techniques as you can, whether that's animation, programming, 3D modeling, sound design, music. Just try and master as many of those crafts as you can. But personally, I went to work with the larger teams straight away. But I've worked on many a project that's just nothing's ever happened with the game. It's just been canned, and it's just felt like a massive waste of time until I met Barish and started working on Solarix. So it took me a good 4 or 5 attempts to find the right team. So.
Now, Angel says, seeing as he cites Thief as an influence, what was his opinion of the latest installment, and could he think of improvements that could have made it better?
That hub world needed to go for me personally. I thought that was as a designer, I wouldn't have done that. I'd have made it more open world as well. There's no reason why, with today's technology, that a Thief like set in a Skyrim type world and not a purely open world couldn't happen. The maps for that game were certainly probably big enough. So too much emphasis on stealing as well in that game as well. Like, you could steal everything, and the original Thief games were never about that. They were always about the end objective and the one jewel that you were after. And I think they tried to. That word accessibility crops up again. I think they tried to make it too accessible and too modern, when in reality they should have realised, like we have with Solarix, that it's a niche product and it has its core audience. So